A difficult night tonight for people in a Norfolk neighborhood. Police say a 12-year-old boy died after he was hit by a vehicle. It happened just before 5 o'clock on East Princess Anne Road in the Broad Creek area. As neighbors and witnesses tell Chinooher, the boy was a familiar face in the area and he was leaving the library.
Neighbors and witnesses tell me the 12-year-old boy was crossing this crosswalk when he was hit and killed by a car. Now in this area, there are schools, there's a library and lots of athletic fields with kids around. Neighbors say they hope this is a wake-up call to the city to do something about these crosswalks. While kids in Broad Creek continue with football practice Friday, just a few yards away,
we need some help to protect our children.
Was a police investigation after a 12-year-old boy was hit and killed crossing East Princess Anne Road at the Majestic Avenue intersection. Police say the driver stayed at the scene.
My heart goes out to him because I have 6 granddaughters. My heart goes out for him.
Her 6 granddaughters is what brought Marcia Epps to the scene, coming to make sure they were okay. All she heard was that a 12-year-old was hit and killed, and her granddaughter is the same age. She's just one of many kids who are out and about in that area.
You got the recreation, you got a brand new library there. Kids are gonna come from there, even older kids.
That's why watching this scene is heartbreaking for her, and she wants to see some change in her area, especially with the crosswalks.
We need some help to protect our children from when they cross that street, they'll be protected, not getting hit and getting killed like that. That's sad.
Marcia and other neighbors, including kids, say more stoplights on East Princess Anne would be a big help. At the very least, some flashing crosswalk signs.
We need something that can protect them when they come across that street, whether school is in or school is out. We need to protect our kids.
Anything to prevent what happened Friday from happening again.
I feel so sorry for his parents, you know. Something she got to handle, but God help her.
In Norfolk, Chinooher, 13 News Now.
Police are still investigating what happened. At this point, we have not heard whether there will be any charges against the driver. Right now, Virginia Beach police are looking for a missing 81-year-old man. John Insmeager suffers from dementia. He was last seen leaving his home on Alliance Drive around 7:30 tonight. We're told he was wearing green khaki pants, a reddish button-down shirt with a bright red shirt underneath, and tennis shoes. If you know where he can be found, please notify police. And the Pasquotank County Sheriff's Office is also asking for your help to find a missing man. We're told no one has seen or heard from Michael William Wolf since Monday morning. Police say he left his home driving a gold Ford Explorer with the North Carolina license plate you see on your screen. It has political bumper stickers on the back. Police tell us Wolf has several medical conditions and does not have his medications. If you know where he is, call the sheriff's office. It is a busy weekend across Hampton Roads. Tomorrow is also the autumnal equinox. Evan Stewart is here with a look at the weather as we get ready for fall.
That's right, and we have a cold front that'll bring us some fall-like temperatures as we get into Sunday, but ahead of it, we've got another somewhat warm day tomorrow. You can see that line of showers and thunderstorms right through here. That's the cold front that'll be tracking south and eastward and move through Hampton Roads tomorrow. There were some pretty strong thunderstorms up through Pennsylvania and New York State a little bit earlier. Those are starting to fall apart, and we're not looking at a lot of rain with this front as it slides through. Right now we have mainly clear skies, temperatures that are in the 70s and even a few 60s showing up back towards Chesapeake, 69 in Suffolk, 69 in Franklin, 66 in Ahoskie. But again, a lot of stuff going on this weekend. Of course, we got the 2018 NAS Oceana Air Show. Gates open at 10 a.m. The Blue Angels are flying at 3:30. And notice we'll start the day with sunshine, but we'll see the clouds thicken up as we get into the afternoon. A slight chance of a shower as we get closer to the end of that. And of course, the big Virginia Tech ODU football game. If you're starting your tailgating around noon, partly to mostly sunny skies. Notice those clouds thickening up, and late towards the end of the game, or at least halftime and into the third quarter, there's a slight chance of a couple of showers. I'll time things out with Futurecast to let you know what to expect as far as rainfall. It looks like Sunday is going to be the wetter of the 2 weekend days. Details on that in the full 7-day outlook in a few minutes. Regina.
All right, thanks, Evan. Virginia spent $60 million to prepare for a possible hit from Hurricane Florence. Governor Northam's administration defends the expenses, but some Republican lawmakers are wondering whether that was too much. According to the Richmond Times-Dispatch, the state spent $31 million to set up 3 state shelters. Only 52 people ended up going to those shelters. Another $20 million went to pay for Virginia's 2 urban search and rescue teams. Officials say they will seek reimbursements from the federal government. In Virginia Beach, a neighborhood in Pungo was still cut off by the flooding. Today we walked down streets including Mill Landing Road and Horn Point Road. People who live in this area have had a tough time getting out, which means trash trucks can't get in. In fact, some residents haven't had their garbage picked up in more than a week.
You're not supposed to put it in the blue can, but that's where we're holding it for right now. Otherwise, we get critters that come out of the marsh at night and eat it.
Residents say this is only one of the problems they're facing. They're also dealing with damage to their homes, no air conditioning, and other issues. New information tonight on 2 workplace shootings that happened within 24 hours of each other. Investigators say the woman who opened fire at a Rite Aid distribution center in Maryland was diagnosed with a mental illness back in 2016. The Harford County Sheriff said 26-year-old Regina Mobley had become increasingly agitated in recent weeks. Yesterday, she shot and killed 3 people and wounded others before taking her own life. Authorities say she used a handgun that she legally purchased in March. The man who shot his co-workers at a Wisconsin software company also had mental health issues. Police say Anthony Tong was taken to a mental health facility back in 2004. After that, a state judge revoked Tong's concealed carry permit. The ATF is trying to figure out how Tong got the 9mm pistol he used in Wednesday's attack. Officers shot and killed him after he wounded 4 people. Tonight, there is still no word on whether Christine Blasey Ford will testify about her allegation that Brett Kavanaugh assaulted her. Ford's lawyer says Ford wants another day to consider terms for testifying before the Senate committee. The committee had wanted Ford to decide by 10 o'clock tonight. Senator Chuck Grassley says if there is no agreement, the panel may still vote Monday on Kavanaugh's nomination to the Supreme Court. Kavanaugh has said he will testify to clear his name. The Royal Navy is in town this weekend. Their newest, largest ship, the HMS Queen Elizabeth, is currently docked in Norfolk. British sailors will be working hand in hand with U.S. sailors over the next 3 months in trial missions. Robert Boyd has the story.
Well, take a look behind me. That's the USS Abraham Lincoln. It's one of 6 U.S. aircraft carriers stationed here in Hampton Roads. And right over here in this parking spot, well, that's HMS Queen Elizabeth. And there's a couple big differences between the British aircraft carrier and the U.S. ships.
In every area of maritime endeavour, the UK and the US work very closely, but specifically in aircraft carriers.
Commodore Andrew Benton of the Royal Navy says without help from the United States, the 65,000-ton HMS Queen Elizabeth would not be possible.
As the UK gets back into carrier strike after a number of years of capability gap, we've come here to embark mechanics, technicians and test pilots.
On Sunday, the ship set sail on a 3-month trial mission in which test pilots from Great Britain and the US will conduct an estimated 500 takeoffs and landings.
For a test pilot, there's no greater honor than being the first to do something.
Atop the 4.5-acre flight deck are some obvious differences compared to U.S. aircraft carriers, starting with the ski jump, which allows planes to take off from a shorter distance with more fuel.
It's a gentleman's way to get airborne. I've done catapult launches, I've done arrested landings, which are truly violent. This is a much more smooth and controlled airborne evolution.
There are also 2 islands or control towers compared to U.S. ships.
To lose services or access to one island or the other, we can do everything from the other one.
And at the center of it all will be the F-35B jets.
It's a highly confidential aircraft, but it's a game changer, an absolute game changer. And it changes the way we fight the enemy, and it means we can go into contested airspace and do operations that we would never have thought feasible in the past with legacy aircraft.
In Norfolk, Robert Boyd, 13 News Now.
There's a lot of history in Newport News, and some of it is getting uncovered at an archaeological dig at the old City Farm site. Researchers are trying to find remnants of what used to be historic Warwicktown. It was one of the first port towns established by England in the 1680s. Archaeologists have already found quite a bit of history.
This is just the next step to seeing if there is anything left from that time period. There is brick foundation under this large tarp that indicates it was a significant building dating from that time.
So far, workers think they have found pieces of an old courthouse.